City of Orlando. And up until last week, I used to tell people we have 860 facilities equating to 6.2 million square feet of space and about 4,000 pieces of rolling stock. I was corrected last week when I looked at the new presentation, because I'll include pavilions and everything. It's like, I preach too, so as a pastor, I count babies in church. That's part of the congregation. And I was looking at a new FM list last week and realized that we now have 1,027 facilities in the city of Orlando, so I am going to have to update some of my slides. We do a lot. We have a limited staff. We have great partnerships with our vendors and with our manufacturers. And every day when I drive back here to Rockledge, because I commute back and forth, and Daryl commutes from Daytona, I wonder how did we achieve all that we have achieved today? Because I constantly am amazed by the great work of our team. So I'm going to talk to you today about a number of things. I'm going to go into philosophy changes that we have made. I took over fleet operations in 2011. I took over facility operations in 2010. They have since been combined. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transformative technologies. I'm going to talk about whether it's sustainable, secure, resilient, and then Daryl is going to go into these other topics. Now, I have the added blessing of direct reporting to the Chief Financial Officer in the City of Orlando, which makes my access to money from my division and the things that we do easier than a lot of my colleagues who have to claw their way up through the public works chain. At the same time, when you hear me talk about Greenworks for Orlando, this was an initiative by Mayor Dyer launched in 2007. And Mayor Dyer and I are the only two individuals still with the city to put this plan together. And he is our strongest and most outspoken advocate of things sustainable. So reporting to the CFO, having Mayor Dyer be our strongest advocate, it's easy for me to talk about sustainability in the city, and it's been easy for us to do a lot of the things that we do. So Greenworks Orlando changed everything that we did. When Greenworks Orlando was first launched, we put together a plan, kind of a basic plan. There were two strong advocates in the city. One of them was one of our deputy CAOs, Martha Siegel-George, and everybody started calling her the Queen of Green, because everybody thought that things sustainable or things green was just going to pass away. It was a fad the city was going through. It was never going to be sustained. Me, they started calling Mr. Green Jeans, which didn't bother me, because I'm an old Captain Kangaroo fan. Mr. Green Jeans was not a bad guy. But years later, since 2007, where Greenworks Orlando has sustained, it is not only sustained, it has morphed and grown into a place where it touches every aspect of the City of Orlando government, and it has a great outreach opportunity to all of our citizens. It's just how we do business. So nobody can argue with me in city government and say that we're not going to do it, because the mayor says we are. So it's a great place to be, and Rebecca, my boss, continues to find money for us to do more things. The first thing that we've done here, that I want to talk about today, is some of our philosophy changes. Whenever Daryl has to get a replacement vehicle or replace something that's in the fleet that's got to the end of its life cycle, the first thing that we do, and I'm going to slide that outlines this, we look at that vehicle replacement, and we look at the vehicles as if we own them. Everybody's familiar with technology management, and the company that you work for, I guarantee you that the cell phone that you have, the computer you have, probably doesn't belong to you. It belongs to technology management, and they have the authority to make changes. In the City of Orlando, people like to say, well, that's my vehicle. It's not. It belongs to fleet. And we remind them of that. So whenever a fleet vehicle is due for replacement, our first question is there something out there with a transformative technology like a Nissan Leaf, a Chevy Volt, a Ford Fusion hybrid, hydraulic hybrid solid waste truck, a compressed natural gas solid waste truck, a VIA Motors truck, if you will. Is there something out there with transformative technology that can replace the vehicle we're replacing and still support the mission for that city employee? That's the first question Daryl asked. And if it can be replaced with something that's transformative technology that fits into our Greenworks Orlando plan, that's the path we're going to go. Now I'm going to get to that slide because typically when we collect capital replacement on a vehicle, And another philosophy change we had to make is the city of Orlando, when the bottom fell out in 2008, we extended every vehicle in the fleet's life cycle by 2 years, and we reduced the capital capture by 50%. Those decisions were made by people other than me. When I took the fleet over and we ran that number all the way out, because that was the philosophy that was going to be deployed, the piece of the equation they forgot to complete was and adjust the replacement cost of that vehicle 2 years later. That piece was missed. So when we had to start replacing vehicles, every program was short by having enough capital capture to replace it. Thank goodness we had a healthy fleet fund that could make up the difference. We've used that same mindset. When we replace things now, we go back to 100% replacement. The fleet fund makes up the difference. But if the transformative technology that's got to be acquired to still support you meeting your mission costs more than we've captured, fleet fund makes that up. Now we're going to plan replacement with a capital replacement based on the new technology. So it's a slow impact to the program. It's a slow impact to the fleet fund. I can't do it forever. Eventually we're going to deplete the fleet fund or have everything replaced. But we're also capturing a replaced vehicle at 100%, which is replenishing the fleet fund. But that makes it easy when I go to a program manager and say, well, it's going to cost more, don't worry about it. If we were not a healthy city with a healthy background financially, we couldn't do it. I'm happy to tell you that this is the first year in the past 7 that we've actually made budget in the city without tapping reserves. Every other year we've had to do that. So we've made changes, we've modified service deliveries, and we have made budget this year for the first time without having to tap reserves, which is a plus for us. Transformative technologies, I used to call it disruptive technology because it's a big change in what we're doing. When I was at the Green Fleet Conference in Columbus, a colleague came up and he said, well, it's not so much disruptive as it is transforming your fleet. So I adopted that word and changed my slides and don't call it disruptive anymore. Because we're working with our client base. If a client says, well, my mission can't be met if I go to this new tech, and Daryl agrees, then we'll replace it with like technology. Because we're not going to let the mission suffer. We're not going to let the citizens who we serve suffer. So we still are trying to fix that problem. But I have a goal in GreenWorks that I'm tasked with that says by 2030, we are running the entire fleet on renewable fuels. That's a big challenge. That's why we're doing the things that we're doing now. But even with all the changes we're making, with electric vehicles, with a wide variety of hybrids we're bringing into the fleet, that by itself will not get us there. So Daryl, when he talks a little bit about some of the other things we're doing, he'll talk about a pilot with a company called Neste Oil out of Finland. Neste Oil produces in much the same way that crude oil is processed. They produce a fuel that's a 100% replacement for diesel and a 100% replacement for gasoline. No modifications to the vehicle, stop using one, start using the other. I talked to colleagues from Portland and Eugene, Oregon last 2 weeks ago that have already converted 100% to this and have confirmed that they're able to do it. My concern is I don't know what the cost is going to be yet, and I don't know how much they can provide for me. But the worst case scenario is if we make this conversion and then something disrupts that flow of fuel that they produce, I can always convert these vehicles back. That's not what I want to do, but I do want to make a difference. So I'll elaborate a little more on that. When I talk about transformative technology, I can't resist the opportunity, since we're at FSEC, to put up my solar slide. This was a unique opportunity for us. This is our fleet garage right here. And right now we are producing more power to that grid than we're consuming on the entire 10-acre site. I don't hold any of the energy on the site. We've got a special deal with Orlando Utilities Commission, and they were looking for a platform where they could come in and put a solar array. We were putting a new roof on anyway, and I said, okay. So they had ESA Renewables install that ballasted system on the new roof we had just installed. Because of the cost 3 years ago, they guaranteed my electric rate to stay the same for 25 years. I think I made a pretty good investment. And it basically is costing me nothing. Everything goes back into the grid. However, since I operate from 6 a.m. to 10:30 at night, I still draw from the grid a little bit. These all have a roof on it. That roof is going to become solar. And once it's covered in solar panels, I will always produce more than I consume on that 10-acre site. It will be our first truly net zero facility. And that's a goal that we've got over the next 6 months. This is just giving you an indication. You know, I can pull it up real time. This was September the 10th at 12:32 p.m. I mean, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're not just telling the citizens they need to change and get on board with some of the plans we put out. We're actually putting our money where our mouth is and trying to make a difference. Doug said all the slideshows will be made available to you. I would encourage you to check out these resources, and if you have questions, you can feel free to reach out to Daryl or myself, because we love to collaborate. If you want to come visit our site, we'd love to show off our stuff too. So you're all invited. I even have technology that's now being deployed in the space station and being deployed on a deep space habitat by a company called LVX Systems. It's a whole other story, but it's an LED light. Same guy that invented all the LED tech on the public safety vehicles you see it running around today. They transport your data between your laptop, your desktop, your phone, whatever it may be, in the photon of light. That becomes, instead of wireless, or instead of being wired, that's the technology. NASA is adopting it. It's a happening thing. It's going to replace everything you see. And I always get the questions, is it sustainable? Is it secure? Is it resilient? When I talk about transformative technologies. Fortunately, I don't have to go up the food chain and say, Rebecca, Mayor Dyer, we want to make these changes, we want to do these things. GreenWorks is the foundation, we're already going to do it. So if there's money available, we move forward. Anybody in the room familiar with the ERA grants that came out right after President Obama came into office? We've got some of that money. We did some minor upgrades to 28 buildings. We said we were going to reduce consumption of energy by 15%. We realized an average of closer to 32. Rebecca came to me and said, could you replicate that? And I said, naturally we can. So she floated a bond for $17.5 million. And with that bond money, we are upgrading 55 buildings right now. New BAS systems, new HVAC systems, new LED lighting. Everything that ever gets replaced with lights is all LED now. We're anticipating, I've got to spend it in 3 years, but we're anticipating that the return on investment is going to fund the bond, or the debt for the new police headquarters we're building. 50% of the savings will go there. The other 50% is going to go to repay the bond. And because of the anticipated success that we've already experienced, we're working on the next $18 million bond to fund the next 55 buildings. So when I'm asked is it sustainable, if it meets the criteria in the plan, and I say it's sustainable, that's as high in the food chain as it has to go. It's a fortunate thing, but I am an appointed official, so if I fail, I can leave really quickly. Daryl's an employee. There's a whole different process for Daryl to go, so he's protected a little better. But Mayor Dyer and Rebecca love what they're seeing and what we're doing. And if Mayor Dyer successfully wins the election in the next couple of weeks, I should be covered for at least the next 4 years. I will retire before the end of that next term. So yes, I say it is sustainable. Everything that we've done, if you look at the resources that I've shared with you, if you look at GreenWorks Orlando, if you see the things we've achieved, the metrics that we put out on the website, everything we say we're going to do, we have done it. And we've been very successful, and most often we get a better return on investment or a faster return on investment than we say we're going to get. You know, it might take something from that. If you think you're going to get 20%, I suggest you're getting 18. You can always be a hero if you get more. So is it secure? Security is a big deal. I was having a conversation on the auditorium here. Younger people, and I'm very excited by younger people coming behind us that are going to make a change in this planet and make it better. The climate change has become such a divisive topic for people in my age group, 62 and above. So I suggest younger people that are anxious and they want to make a change and are coming behind me, I've suggested, don't care if your audience believes in climate change or not. Try to focus on things that are talking about security and resilience, much like our military talks. And if you talk to your audience about security and resilience, it's going to make a difference. Don't try to come in here and convert everybody to say, yes, I buy into climate change, because you're not going to do it. I buy into it. I've been on the planet 62 years. I've seen a lot of changes, but where you fall, that's a personal belief. But I do believe in making a more secure, long-lasting facility and more secure, long-lasting vehicles for us to meet our mission. And is it resilient? Everything we've done has given us a better return on investment. Everything that we've done is extending life cycles of equipment and buildings, extending life cycles in the vehicles that we operate every single day. We've made changes in our maintenance plans. In fact, Darrell will talk a little bit about warranty provision that we provide now. We've made dramatic changes to the citizens that we serve. We've made dramatic changes to the employees that we serve. We have people, I've got colleagues, I was in a presentation at Valencia just a couple of months ago, and I had a colleague who works for a college that came up and goes, well, I want you to maintain my vault now since you're certified to do that. So it's a revenue stream potential we haven't investigated yet, but I'll let Darrell elaborate on that a little more. And like I said, our track record proves everything that I've talked to you about, and I want you to dig into our stuff, I want you to come and visit, and I want you to reach out to us with questions. And with that, Mr. Greenlee, our fleet manager, if you will.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, right now, I'm going to talk about our current fleet composition of electric vehicles and hybrids. Right now, we have 75 low-speed vehicles that are all plug-in electric. We have various Volts, Ford Focus Electric, C-Max, PHEV, and other hybrids that we're integrating into the city. This year was the first year we incorporated hybrids and a plug-in into the police department. This fiscal year will be the first for the fire department throughout in the city's history for the first time. Our hydraulic hybrids in our solid waste division is doing a fantastic job. No infrastructure. One of the drivers was nationally recognized as the leading driver in the nation, reducing fuel consumption up to 62% just in that technology. We're just embarking on our CNG. Our station should be up and running by November. Middle of November. We're going to have 46 time fuel site on property. We're getting first in the area. Along with our forestry department, parks department, we're changing them out into, they got electric Focus that we just did a wrap on. And they absolutely love the electric vehicles. They embrace this technology. And this year we had discussions with Richard, thank you, about storage energy on our generators. When we lose power, our generators fire up, but there's this break in electricity, and we're trying to build a battery system to help cross that bridge, if you will. And we're in discussion with Richard on that right at the moment. And try to use our vehicles to put back into the grid to cover that gap. It's about 7 months.
No, 12 to 18 seconds.
Okay. 12 to 18 seconds gap. Thank you. Moving into the future, we're in discussions with like Zero motorcycles for our police department. We have 35 motorcycles in our fleet, and we're trying to incorporate some EV technology into that. We're currently in discussion with them. We're working on our, like Dave said, our fuel pilots with STO. We're also waiting for VIA Motors to do the standard pickup truck now we don't have a huge demand for the crew cab model. We've already made a commitment for 25 of those vehicles once production starts ramping up for them. Our parking division, our parking enforcement, we converted all of their vehicles to full electric. They're 100% gem cars now on the street. Our City Hall motor pool is now 100% electric as of last month. We deployed that out there now, so they're all in Nissan Leafs right at the moment. This technology is going leaps and bounds. When I got the policemen in there, they just absolutely loved the vehicle, and they were totally surprised by the power, because these are performance-based assets on the police department, and they absolutely loved it. They embraced it 100%, and that just like wildfire spread to the whole department. They got over 1,000 officers, 971 vehicles, and now they all want them. So if there's a way we can get a police car that's either electric or a hybrid that's certified high speed, they would absolutely love it. So this is exciting times. Also, we have a partnership with ChargePoint. What we've learned in deploying throughout the city has it's grown leaps and bounds with parking garages in the city. They're talking about at City Hall. We have 8 right now at City Hall parking garages, 2 commercial and 6 city designated for the city only. And they're looking to add 25 more, and not just that garage, but throughout the city at every garage. So they're putting in, I was told last about 1 to 2 a day in the city. That's correct. Right now I know we're over 300 charge stations in the city. And there's a great partnership with these people. Very nice. As I said, we're over 300 charging stations throughout the city right now. This is expanded upon, I think she's right.
Britta's out in the test drive.
Yeah. This expands upon what she was talking about on our Drive Electric Orlando, and it's amazing. Back in 2012, we had discussions, actually in 2011, but in 2012 we became a warranty partner for GM. Through GM, AC Delco, and some of the municipalities in the area, we got together and collaborated. In addition to us becoming an in-house warranty provider, we did Chevy Voltry, and we're authorized to repair walls up to, I think they call it level 2, where it doesn't go into the big battery pack. That's dealers only. But other municipalities are on top of that with us as well. We try to all get certified together, so we're all on the same page with the manufacturer. In doing the in-house warranty, it reduced our downtime, so no longer we're having to take 2 mechanics to deliver a vehicle to a dealership. That mechanic can stay focused on repairing vehicles. We can do the in-house repair. The client doesn't have to move out of the vehicle. Like a police officer, it's like moving your office out of your car, and then 2 days later putting it back in your car. It's the same comparison. So the client's benefiting, we're benefiting, our citizens are seeing officers on the road more, and not just police, but fire and public works. In 2012, when we did the in-house warranty, we had limited training available to our mechanics, and part of that partnership was including training into this in-house warranty. The city of Orlando wasn't even recognized in the beginning. And in a short period of time, some of the technicians we hired came from prior GM technicians or Ford technicians. And within 8 months, we went from not rated to #1 in Florida and #3 in the nation in technology training with our technicians. We have 2 shifts from 6 a.m. to 10:30 at night and 32 technicians. And it's a work machine, this thing is. We also worked on negotiating with Ford, Chrysler, Suffin is our fire trucks. We're also worked on the auto car and the Heil Refuge Department. We're all doing in partnership with In-House Mooring. We've got City of Kissimmee, Winter Garden, all these other ones on the same page. And it starts with the first conversation with the manufacturers and the vendors, the dealership environment. It becomes a very strong partnership, and you have to stay on top of it all the time to be successful. Currently, we've employed 27 hybrids, additional hybrids on the fleet this past fiscal year. And we're negotiating with Toyota right now to become an in-house warranty provider for them as well. Again, to keep the vehicle on the road longer, less downtime, and I just feel blessed to be a part of this group. We're allowed to step outside the box and try new technologies. We've tried that Mitsubishi car, and there's a lot of winners, and again, there's a lot of education you learn things. And I'm just so very proud to be able to be the trendsetter, be the tip of the spear, as the mayor told us at one time. To me, it makes me very proud to be a part of this group. And I can't say enough about it. I got a great team, I got a great boss. The mayor supports all of us 100%. We have to take the lead in this. The citizens, as she said, have a hard time. They don't know about this stuff. We gain this knowledge and we have to advance on it to get it out there.
Let's elaborate a little bit on some of the things. We did not intentionally become trendsetters. When GreenWorks Orlando was launched in 2007, we started doing some of the things that we're doing. It's grown and it's more, as I mentioned, but much like I mentioned preaching, much like a prophet not being accepted in his own hometown, as we did some reach out. Julie, you're here in the audience. Thank you. When we did some initial reach out, Daryl lives in Daytona, I live in Rockledge, I'm Grace and Cocoa. We reached out to Kissimmee, Sanford, other cities around the state, because we're involved in other associations and have contact throughout the state and the region. And we tried talking to people about the things we're doing with GreenWorks, the things that we're doing with vehicles, and a lot of people were going, yeah, that's cool, but our municipality's not quite into that kind of stuff. So now, at this stage of the game, over the last 8 months, we have been visited by Blacktown, Australia, which is right outside of Sydney, Australia. They wanted to talk to us about the Parker-Hannifin hydraulic hybrid trucks that we have. They had heard about them. I think Daryl actually wrote an article for one of the fleet magazines. So they came and spent a couple of weeks in Orlando talking about the fleet operations, talking about the facility operations, and because of our success with the Parker-Hannifin product, Parker-Hannifin is now partnered with the manufacturers in Australia to produce that same technology on solid waste trucks in Australia. Just as a result of coming and talking to us, sharing our success, looking at our metrics, us really showing them our success with that particular brand. The driver, the national recognition, that happened before City Council. But over the last 8 months, we have been visited from Australia, Singapore, Estonia, Vietnam. Japan is coming in January. Brazil came to visit us. Mexico, Brazil actually wants me there next month to give a 30-minute presentation. It's about a 16-hour plane ride. Skype or a webinar would be a faster means of delivery. But because of our success and people coming to us and wanting to see what we're doing so they could replicate that, Julie reached out from Melbourne, and we came and met with all of the senior admin people in the city of Melbourne. I'm sorry?
And the city manager.
City manager included. Kissimmee, Sanford, talked to people from Titusville, from Rockledge, from Cocoa, and other places around the state. And when we travel, we get the opportunity to talk to other parts of the country, and in some cases, I've already gone to Canada. I don't think I'm making Brazil next month. I need to start slowing down because I really do have a day job. But because of these successes, people are finally coming around and hearing about us in trade papers, in magazines, and they're seeing things that we're doing and they want to know. So we're thrilled to finally get the opportunity to share some of these closer to home and help some of our colleagues develop some of the same successes. Because this stuff is doable. We're not just, it's not by chance that we've been accomplishing these things. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into what we've done. But I think we've proven, and we have inadvertently become trendsetters, like the mayor likes to say. So every time somebody suggests something about, could fleet do that, or could facilities do this, he's always, oh yeah, they'd be happy to do it, no problem. We'll just send those folks right over. No matter where it seems to be, including Brazil. So I don't want to go yet. I don't want to go to Brazil. I mean, it's the place that they're going to have the conference, quite frankly, is at the American Chamber of Commerce, and not the bad against Brazil, but I have colleagues there that say, we will be happy to escort you. You're a white American, you're a target. So you can't go shopping out in the slums, which is just everything outside of the American Chamber of Commerce. But there's other parts of the world. We love people coming to visit us. We love people to collaborate and see the things that we've done. We've had big conferences in town where people have come and walked our property. It becomes one of the tour sites. But everything we're talking about, anybody else can do. We're doing it. We're proving that we can do it. And it all falls back to us being sustainable, secure, and resilient. And we're leaving the place, if I retired today, we're leaving the place better than it was when I came there. If Darrell retired today, the same thing. And everything we put in motion has traction. It's moving. And as long as people above us in the food chain continue to support it, we can just achieve more. We are changing the world, and we're saving money. We're stretching dollars out. We spend about $14 million a year on energy. If I can cut that by 10%, that's a big savings. But everything that we're doing right now is going to cut it by about 34%. Everything we're doing in the fleet operation is saving money, extending life cycle. And every time we launch a new technology, I have to share this quick story. I've got a few minutes left. Our mayor is like a kid in a candy store. When we had new tech, we had the hydraulic hybrid solid waste trucks. When we had a press conference to talk about those, not only did the mayor come over and want to stand in front of the podium and talk to the press, he goes, oh my God. So we put him in one, he got a quick little lesson, and he's driving up and down the property, and he says, oh, I want to dump a can. So we didn't have a full one, we brought an empty one out, of course, he crushed it when he dumped it. When we had the press conference for the compressed natural gas solid waste trucks, the mayor came over and he goes, well, I'm going to drive them, right? So we parked him around behind the fleet garage, and I'm at the podium talking to the press, welcoming everybody, and the mayor comes driving around the corner, drives right up to the podium, gets out of the truck, leaves it running, just so he can emphasize how quiet it was. He's like a kid in a candy store. He loves this stuff. I get accused of posing the mayor for pictures. He does these workday events. And people, I'll show pictures of the mayor, and people say, oh, you got him to pose really nice. He doesn't do that. His background's engineering. When we took him out to Lakeview Old Fountain to do that complete renovation work that we did, him and Commissioner Sheehan stayed out there for 2.5 hours, forming, making, connecting pipes. They came back greasy, dirty, but they were wringing wet with sweat. But the smiles on their faces were just incredible. The solar ran the roof. Him and the vice president from OUC, Byron Debs, where's our OUC contact? Still here? Anyway, Byron was on the roof working with the mayor. I think Byron got tired before the mayor did. He wanted to stay up there working. And it was blistering heat. But he loves this kind of stuff. He cares about it. He gets into the nuts and bolts. Whenever we win awards, he comes over to celebrate with us because we've won things. The very first year we won the 100 Best Fleet Award, which is the first year we participated. They award 100 out of, in North America, there's about 18,000 public sector fleets. We came in 97th our first year. Ours just happened to be in the mix. Well, the mayor came over, we celebrated, and before he left, he goes, so David, #1 next year, right? We haven't got there. We improve every year, but, I mean, he cares about it. And when he was there, we were doing a walk around after the press conference with CMD trucks. I just asked him, I said, did you ever think that Greenworks Orlando, which was your initiative back in 2007, would grow to what it is today and what it continues to grow to? It's not stopped, it's still morphing. And it's beyond any of the wildest dreams that he's had. But because he launched that initiative, and the whole city has had to conform to that, and he's still with us and advocating for it, we've been able to have all these successes. So are there any questions? Yes?
Were you able to extrapolate especially or specifically your savings for the EV conversions or EV purchases?
Those metrics are not where we want them to be yet, sort of like to share them publicly. We just started doing it. We never thought, since I don't have to go back and prove to anybody on the fleet side, or quite frankly on the facility side, what we are doing and how we're doing it, we focus more on doing and less on measuring. So we're putting measurement and verification in on everything that we do now for exactly this reason, because colleagues will say, can I look at your metrics? So we're pulling data together from what we've had and everything that we launch now as a new deployment of technology. We're doing measurement and verification and tracking that on a routine basis because we want to be able to publish that information now. I've got a lot of it on the facility side, very little of it on the fleet side because we started facilities first. But everything that we're doing now, we're going to get to a point where we can publish in trade magazines what we've actually achieved.
Darrell, when you were mentioning about your mechanics with the training and the levels of training, how are you handling your electric vehicles, your leach, your volts, when it does get into that high voltage? What happens then?
We have to contact the dealership network or our representative from the manufacturer, and he'll give us a recommendation whether we can go forward or get into the dealership at the next level.
We can do up to level 2, though, right?
On certain vehicles.
Yeah, GM actually came in and delivered it 2 days. Oh, was that 2 days?
That was a 3-day.
3 days?
Because we had other municipalities involved in that.
Yeah, but General Motors had approached us about doing a hands-on technician training, but they needed somebody's vote to take apart.
They took Dave.
Took mine apart. But it was a 3-day intensive training for our own technicians, and we allowed other municipalities to come and jump on. There's no cost to it. So other municipalities were given the same opportunity for technician training on the Volt, and they really took that poor vehicle apart to some other degree. They had to rip pieces off of it. They did put it, I drove it for 40,000 miles before I moved out of it, so they put it back together right. But that GM opportunity to provide that up to level 2 service saves us time and money. And to emphasize that, the other training, we're a GM warranty provider. We dove quickly into Chrysler, even Sutton for some of our fire apparatus. And what I like most about that is Darrell was able to get the GM warranty provider opportunity on board just before all the Chevy Impalas that we bought and the lower AR bushings failed. So normally if a cop has to take a vehicle to a dealership and the book says, how many hours to do the work?
Almost 3 hours.
So the book says 3 hours to do the work. Anybody ever took their vehicle to a dealership for warranty work? Does the technician take the full book time? No. In our case, we were able to get, when you take a police officer off the street and he's not performing his mission, and he's sitting at a dealership waiting for the work to be done, that's just lost time. And it's horrible if you move into another vehicle because that's his whole office. So our guys were doing all of that warranty work in about half the time. So the officer got back on the street faster, and when we built General Motors, they still paid us for the full work time. It turned into unanticipated revenue. We've done the same thing with some of our fire apparatus with the Sutton. And we want to be warranty providers on everything that we can so that we better serve our employees. And at the end of the day, I still have to make money. So revenue is a good thing for me.
I understand the performance basis for the police cars on electric. In fact, electric motorcycles make no noise. Is there value in that?
Absolutely. TAC, like LA County, they had their TAC units or SWAT units. They literally creeped up on wild animals and scared them. The only thing you hear is the rocks popping out of the tires. That's how quiet they are.
Yeah.
And that's one advantage. You get blacked out It's like an enduro motorcycle model, there's street versions, and SWAT and TAC really love that.
But our chief doesn't want to make that change yet. The guys from SWAT think it would be great to have one of them in the van. They could ride it through the parking complex and everything.
Correct.
But all conversations with the chief, they broke in with a lot of other vehicles, a lot of other technology. Motorcycle riders still like the Harley Davidson, we don't quite often find something. It does not mean we will not question them. Remember I said Mayor Dyer's an advocate of this kind of stuff? Chief knows that too.
You look good, at least you said.
On an electric bike. He would ride it too.
Absolutely. In fact, he's a director of communication. Every time we unveil new technology, she's sitting there just stressing, because she knows he's going to hop in and take off.
He's gonna do it.
And he does, and they drive her nuts.
In fact, the oldest Volt in our fleet, which is a 2011 model, Byron Brooks, our chief administrative officer, driving that, Daryl took him out of a Ford Taurus that was getting about 16 miles to the gallon. 19.4.
Over his life.
And it's put him into this, and he's a bigger guy than me, and he loves his Chevy Volt. In fact, since we deployed it, it was a new model, since we deployed it, put him in there, the last indicator I had was over this many years, he's consumed 113 gallons of gas.
Since December 2011.
He is our poster child when we talk to people about what can be done. And he loves that vehicle. I don't think I could pry him out of that vehicle if I didn't offer him something like a Cadillac he's currently driving. Any other questions? Yes.
David, do y'all have an employee charging with the city of Orlando, or there with any of your employees at Fleet?
Not yet. We've actually had the question, which is kind of what segued into the garages. Because we have a lot of employees that park in the City Hall garage too. And in going through the City Hall garage one day with the people that operate the garage, we counted 25 or 26 private vehicles that are pure EVs that would plug in if there was a charge point for them to plug into. So from OUC's perspective, it's a revenue potential. And the garage, the one at City Hall, we're already working on a plan to add in one area of the garage a minimum of 25 charging stations for those employees. Now they'll be set up on charge points, so the employee will be paying for that. But we've had the question, we haven't wrestled how we're going to do it. You and I talked briefly about how you guys are managing that. So there's probably some good collaboration, James, between you and I, because we want to incentivize employees to make these changes in their personal lives too. One of the questions we got early on, I started driving the Chevy Volt back and forth, and the question was, well, would you like to put a level 2 charger at your home? I said, well, sure I would, before I talked to my wife about it. And found that I was going to have to pay for it. She goes, you know, there's a 110 plug right there. Right. So it takes a little longer for my Volt to charge up, but I wasn't out of pocket, and it is a take-home vehicle. But it's a very good question, and I think we're going to be faced more and more with that. As the technology gets more affordable, people can afford to buy them. Almost got my wife talked out of getting out of the Ford Explorer into something different, because I get better mileage out of it than she does, and I don't like the mileage she gets. She feels safe. She feels safer. So that.
Does the city have any, like commuter vans or bus passes for employee perks?
Employees get an opportunity for a reduced cost for the bus system that's operated by Lynx and for the Sunray.
Okay, so you've had that in place.
We have that in place. There are other van pool opportunities. I actually used to ride a van pool. I get picked up in Rockledge and ride back and forth. And it was very economic. It cost me $136 a month to ride back and forth in the van. I could get on the van and open my laptop and work on the way to work and work on the way home.
So those are going to be electric vans pretty soon that you're going to offer?
Well, I would hope that would come, but I don't operate that system. It's operated by the county. But I'll tell you what though, if they would ever put in a rail between here and Orlando, I'll bet there's a bunch of people I see on the road going and coming that would ride that rail system every single day. And it could go right down the middle of the beach line. There's already a median there. Any other questions?
David, have you, as City of Orlando, considered used or leased vehicles instead of new persons?
No. We buy and own what we have in inventory. I'm about up on time, so I'm sorry. We buy new. We like to own. When people come to us and make special offers, Unfortunately, we have the money to buy it. If we were strapped, like on the facility side, if I didn't have the money to make these upgrades to facilities, I'd have to use an escrow to do it. You know, an energy services company. Since we have the money, we haven't had to do that. We had an organization approach us and offer to lease 400 EVs to us. And I said, well, that's all well and good, but I can't take them that quick to replace the vehicles that are out there. Because vehicles haven't got to the end of the life cycle. You know, I might get a return on those, but then again, I wouldn't, so. No, we haven't done anything from a leasing perspective. We own it, we maintain it, and we get a pretty good return on it when we sell it. Because we don't have these big open auctions anymore. Everything gets sold on eBay, and we get a much better return on investment. Okay, I'm out of time. We'll be around though if there's questions. Hand that over to you, Doug.